So we're getting ready to install the defrost heat and ventilation system, the Can-Am one. I'm going to put it in the Commander Max. So the part number on this is a 715003678. Most places you find it, it's going to tell you that it's for Maverick Sport, for the Maverick maybe Trail. It tells you that, but as long as it's that part number, it'll work. So this one got the, see how good, but I got it off eBay. Normally from Can-Am, I think it's around $1,050. I got this one off eBay for $900. It was packaged in 2018, so it just been, I guess, moved around the shop wherever it was at. You can tell from the box that it had been scooted all over the place, but I took a chance with it, bought it. Everything looks good. I unpackaged it. Don't see no damage or issues with any of it. So I want to see if we can't get it installed. Hoping everything I read, they don't say there's a difference in the kits between the regular Commander or the Max. There's one hose that has to run back around your engine, and I'm assuming they just give you a long hose that'll do either. And you could, if you're not doing the Max, you cut off the excess. But I pulled out the hose, and I'm not for sure it'll reach to where the instructions says it goes. But we'll see. If not, I guess I'll have to get a longer hose, but we'll find out whenever we get there. But I want to go out and start by taking the seats out, taking the center console out, and taking the back access panel off to the motor. And start with that. And might be a little loud in the background. It's in the low 20s here in Kentucky right now, so I'm running a torpedo heater, so it's kind of loud in the background. If there's anything real important need to say or show you, I'll try to turn it off, that way you can hear me. But get started with this. So here's pretty much what you're going to get. Get your Can-Am sticker, of course, and you've got some bolts, some garnets, the electronic valve that opens up your radiator lines. There's a little wiring for the power, a few other bolts, some zip ties, a couple T's, these clamps, more clamps, your vents, your hoses, different warning sticker. I think it's French, maybe? Not real for sure about that, but it's not English. Then, let's see. And then you got your heater cord and the top that goes on it. But I'm going to start with taking the seats out, popping the seats, and getting this center console out, everything. I don't know if y'all know how to get the seats out, but they just pop and lift. And the backs, you just pop the bottoms, re-clip on them. The only issue is I've got harnesses, so I'm going to try to keep from having to undo all my harnesses back here. So I'm going to just try to pop the seats up and maybe get them to lay over to the side, because I just mainly need to be able to get to that center console. But if you've never took out the center console, there's a bunch of T30 bolts. There are going to be 2 on this part, and I believe there's a couple down here, and there's a few back that way, but there are not a whole lot of them, and it'll just pop up out of the way. But we'll get started with it. So I've already derailed on the plan, so I ended up having to take my harnesses off. Went ahead and just undone them, minus that one. I let it flop out. I shouldn't need to be in that area. Figured it'd just be easier than having to try to fight with them seats and them hanging there like that. So, undid the backs of them, laid them down, got the seats out of there. But now, I want to get this rubber. My camera's not really focusing in good. So you've got this rubber piece back here that goes across this, and it's just got the push tabs in it. You can pop it over them, but you'll have to, it's much easier to just get them out whenever you put it back and just push your push tabs through. But just to get it out of the way for right now, I'll just pop it out and pull it up and out. I'm going to do that, and I'm going to remove the center console, get it out of the way, and should be ready to start cutting, if I'm not mistaken. But we'll get to that point. So I've already veered from the plan a little bit again. So all you gotta take loose is this access. There ain't nothing back here that comes out. Didn't realize that. But that pipe goes somewhere here. So this is all that needs to be removed. You ain't gotta remove the plastic here or the rubber. There's a little access panel. It's got a bunch of little push pins that you have to pop out. There's what, 1, 2, 3, like 9 of them, I think. That, and you take the T30 out of this, and there'll be 2 push pins right here on the piece that goes here. Another T30 in the front right there. Then you've got a T30. It's in this little plastic piece here, and 2 push pins, a T30, 2 T30s, and 2 push pins in the front. And then this side panel, after you get the push pins out, I'm not focusing in. Once you get the push pins out, this also has these clips. There's 2 of them on this side that you'll have to pop out. I think the other side may have 4. Be careful with them, because I heard one of mine go somewhere and I've not found it yet. So I've lost one on the other piece. I'll have to dig down in. I hope it didn't go all the way to the skid plate. But once you get all that out, you should be ready to install, I think. So I'll go through and make sure that's all I need to remove before I start putting stuff in. But let's see if we can't get moved on to the next bit. Alright, so 2 more things you got to take out. You got to take out this foot plate that's in the bottom. You got to cut a hole right here. You need an 1¼ inch hole. Good thing is they've already got it marked center. I'm just going to take a hole saw and punch through there. And you also have to take out your start switch and your key switch. So to relocate your 12-volt accessory plug, which you'll be cutting out whenever you install the heater, they've got right on the back. It's already there. You just have to cut that out for it. Get it. I'll probably figure out what size that hole is and use a hole saw to cut that, and then try to take a knife or something and cut these little notches. But that, and this foot plate's got 3 of the T30 bolts in it. And it goes right there. And then your wiring or your start switch panel, it has 2 10mm bolts, and then it's got clips right here. You can reach up there and just pull them down and pop it out. But this is the accessory that you're going to be moving from here to up here in that spot. I thought about not even hooking it up because I never use it, but sure enough, if I don't, I'll need it. So I'm going to go ahead and relocate it. Get them cut out. Alright, so I cut an 1¼ inch hole, and I put the grommet in. Grommet's a little tough to get in, but it fits. And I've cut the hole with the notches over here. I really hope that I didn't make that hole too big. Now I'm getting ready to cut the dash, which, good thing is Can-Am is marked where you need to cut here. They've got little, I don't know if you can see it or not, it's kind of dark. Got little divots for where you cut, and then there's little divots up here that you have to drill holes in. I'm going to try to get in there and do it without taking my glass out. Only thing I'm a little worried about is back here. It shows you cutting, let's see if I can get this, cutting from a divot to a divot across. Well, there are divots everywhere. I can see the divots that the holes drill in for the mount. I'm not 100% sure which divot I'm supposed to go off to cut across. I think it's this one right here because they're over to the corner and they're kind of oddballs. But I'll probably start off slow and keep inching back. That way I don't overcut it. But we're going to cut that. I'm going to cut that with, I've got one of the little, I don't know what they're called. Where's that? I put it somewhere. It's one of the little reciprocal saws or whatever they are. It goes back and forth. But I'm going to try that, see if it works. I might set the camera up to try to catch this. We'll see what happens. So this is pretty much what it should look like. And you finally get it. Like I said, watch that wire back there, because I did nick it. I put some tape on a couple of wires that I nicked. Just because I didn't pull it down. I thought I had it pulled down far enough, and I did not. I nicked it over here on this side. There you go. Alright, well, I jumped way ahead because I decided to hop on the struggle bus this evening. But anyway, so your hose from the front, you're going to run back here and you're going to splice it in right here. The instructions didn't really say where, but I just went by the picture and where this bolt was. Theirs was a little higher. It just seemed more convenient to put it here because of the hoses and wires back here. But I struggled with their crampon clamps here. I couldn't get them to go around this pipe any way I tried it. Ended up messing up 2 of them. So I'm going to hose clamp it. I got to get another hose clamp for here. But your pipe or your hose coming from up there will run straight back, and then you'll let it loop down. Let it come up through here. There it is, going to the front. And then whenever you get in the front, you're going to install this this valve. Lost the light again. Well, I'm struggling to see. But anyway, so this is their electronic valve that opens and closes depending on how much heat you want. So it has 2 bolts that mounts it to the floor back there, and then one that mounts it to your brace for your shifter. And then run your hose. I actually ended up cut that much of that hose off. I probably could have pushed it back and let it just loop a little further back there, but I went ahead and cut it off because I already had all that run and laying the way I wanted it to lay. But you put that on. I did the crimp on here, and then you put the longer of the 2 hoses go there. And then right here, you've got to take 1 inch of your hose out here and run this up. But they give you measurements in the instruction. You measure from here to here where this first cut is, and then it's 1 inch, just a hair over 1 inch back, but just rough guesstimation back. You cut it right there, and then you put your T in. I did the crimp-ons here, and just if you're wondering, so they make a fancy crimp-on tool. I've just got this one. It seems to work fine. That, now let's see what it's. So the other is right here. So hope you can see that. So on this block right here, this one back here that's got the red cover on it, you wire in your little wiring harness, this, and your hot wire will go on the keyed power, which is all the way to the left, and then your ground goes on the stud all the way to the right. There's 3 studs there. But that's where that is, and now I should be ready to try to drop it in. So on to that. Alright, so we ended up having to take the front windshield out. It wouldn't go in without it, so wasn't able to get it in. So we ended up pulling the front windshield, dropped it in, bolted it in. It has 4 bolts that go in. Then down here, hook these up, put your clamps on it. Also, the reason you put the grommet in the floorboard is right here. And that's also the reason you have to make sure that you cut this hose in the right spot. That way it'll come up through there just right. And I didn't mention earlier, but it's best to put clamps on these when you cut it, on your big hoses here and on the back, in front of and behind your cuts. That way you don't lose all your coolant, which I mean, you can fill it up if you want. But I don't have the little fancy clamps that clamps it off, so I just use long needle nose pliers, put it on there, clamp it to where it pulls the pipe together. That way none of the fluid can get out. That, then you hook up your wire, and you bring your wire in here, and then there'll be a wire lung. You cut and put around it there. And that's pretty much the gist of it. I'll put the top on it, and I'll bleed out the fluid to make sure I don't have no leaks anywhere. And I'll start putting everything back together. But come back when I get it done. Alright, so I've bled the system, made sure I didn't have leaks. I've run it. Whenever it warms up, it definitely puts out some heat. But now I'm putting my plastics back. And when you put these side pieces in, the ones that go beside the gear shifter, you've got to cut out to go around the hoses coming up to the heater core. But they gave you, if you look at it on on the back of your plastic. Let's see if I can hold the light and shine to you. See this little line right here? They've already got it marked where you need to cut out, which the other piece has more cut out than this, but it's already marked on there, so you just cut out the line and put them together.